Ladies and gentlemen, politics is a dirty game. And as I have always told you, Fred Matiang'i currently is a man who is hanging on a thread. Any decision that Matiang'i makes will determine his future in the upcoming general election. As it is a matter of general knowledge, yesterday former President Uhuru Kenyatta presided over the Jubilee National Delegates Convention that saw the attendance of all Jubilee affiliated leaders. In this meeting, among those in attendance was none other than the former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i. Many Kenyans expected that Matiang'i was to be declared the Jubilee presidential flag bearer and that Uhuru Kenyatta would hand over the party leadership to Matiang'i. But to our surprise, Uhuru never talked about the possibility of Matiang'i's presidential bid, which left us wondering what was going on between Matiang'i and Uhuru Kenyatta and the Jubilee Party. Apart from that, also Uhuru never spoke of any possibility of him handing over the party leadership roles as the chairman of the party to Fred Matiang'i, because we expected something to be born out of the Jubilee National Delegates Convention. But the only thing that came is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta trying to showcase the people of the Republic of Kenya that he does not support the William Ruto's regime, which is a card that we all doubt. Allow me to say that because we will look at that later. Now, allow me to explain to you why Matiang'i is at crossroads with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta over his endorsement for the Jubilee Party leadership. Remember, the Jubilee Party, led by the party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, since last year began the campaign of parading Matiang'i as their preferred presidential candidate, which led to the fallout between Jeremiah Kioni and the United Opposition leaders. And he left the United Opposition and started a countrywide campaign to popularize the Matiang'i's presidential bid with branded lorries and t-shirt and capes with Matiang'i's pictures, calling for Matiang'i to return to the country, for he was being crowned as their presidential candidate. But the game actually changed after Matiang'i quit his job at World Bank and returned to the country to start off his campaign bid. Though Jubilee was forcing Matiang'i to stand as their leader and candidate, Matiang'i turned down the said proposals and decided to hold consultative meetings with the United Opposition leaders and also the people of the Republic of Kenya, more so his community, the Abagusi community. Even after Matiang'i turned down the Jubilee Party proposals, the former president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta tried to intervene and convince Matiang'i to run under Jubilee. But Matiang'i said that when time comes for him to decide the party he will vie with, he doesn't want to be labeled as Uhuru's project, which is a title that he has carried for a long time and has been fighting hard to shed it off. Knowing that recently Uhuru has been in communication and working with William Ruto, Matiang'i feared the implications that would come with the endorsement of Uhuru Kenyatta and him taking over the Jubilee Party leadership roles. So Matiang'i decided to weigh on his options before 2026. According to an insider within the Jubilee Party, Matiang'i is also not comfortable with Uhuru handing over the Jubilee Party leadership to him, since the Jubilee Party has told him that he can only run for the presidency, and even if he joins the opposition, he shouldn't accept anything less than being the flag bearer of the opposition, which is something that has seen him fall out with most of the opposition chiefs, for all of them are ready to support the most preferred candidate as a flag bearer without conditions, for their major role is to remove William Ruto in power come the year 2027. Now, allow me to remind you something. William Ruto and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta cracked a deal last year in November, which saw Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's men and Jubilee loyalists appointed in William Ruto's government. We saw William Kabogo being made the cabinet secretary of ICT, Lee Kenyanjui, the former governor of Nakuru, being made the trade cabinet secretary. Mutahi Kagwe, the former held the cabinet secretary, being made the agriculture CS. The former Laikipia governor Derito Morethi being made the CEO or the chair of the board of the Kenya Revenue Authority. Mwangi Wairia being brought in to work with William Ruto. These are men that had sworn their allegiance to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. But they were brought in William Ruto's government when Uhuru and William Ruto met at Uhurus Ichaweri home in Gatundu. Now, there, a rumor was born that Uhuru had cracked a deal to protect his businesses and the Kenyatta family businesses with William Ruto. Remember, this is when the political atmosphere was so hot in the Republic of Kenya, and Raila Amolo Odinga had already joined the William Ruto regime, where he had offered experts to work with William Ruto. Now, according to the intel we have, even back in the year 2024, when William Ruto met with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, William Ruto wanted Uhuru to convince Matiangi to come and work with William Ruto as his interior cabinet secretary, because William Ruto had already appointed Kithure Kindiki as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, and there was a vacancy. Murkomen had not yet been declared the interior cabinet secretary. So William Ruto wanted Matiangi to come in and work with him. But Matiangi, knowing that he had big ambitions and he was seeing the bigger picture, he turned down the proposal. He turned down every plea that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta tried to make to him. And that is when Matiangi returned into the country to declare his bid for presidency. And he has refused to be associated with the Jubilee Party. It seems that Jubilee Party has been forcing Matiangi on their side. And at the end of the day, Matiangi wants, you see, the Jubilee is out there attacking the united opposition. Yet Matiangi, on his own self, he is holding meetings with the united opposition principles, which tells you that Matiangi is not of the decision to stand as a lone wolf to declare himself the flag bearer of the opposition. He is ready for a negotiation. If the united opposition declares that Matiangi can become a running mate for whoever they pick as the flag bearer, then that is well with Matiangi. But it is not well with the Jubilee Party leadership. It is not well with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Why? Because allow me to expound on you. The attacks Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta made yesterday against William Ruto were all choreographed. And we have seen William Ruto's minions reply to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, which is also a camaraderie that they are trying to sell to us to make us see that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is not affiliated with William Ruto. But deep down, these people are working together. And that is why Matiang'i has turned down Jubilee's proposal. Yes, yesterday, Uhuru was expecting to make the declaration. Because how comes that the Jubilee Party has branded Matiang'i as their presidential candidate, and they have been campaigning for him all over the country, yet Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta speaks yesterday and tells us that Jubilee will actually field a presidential candidate, but they have not yet come into a decision or a conclusion. I mean, do we look like fools to our former president? President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is working with William Ruto and also wants to be in the opposition. So at the end of the day, his business interests will be secure before 2027, whether the government wins or the opposition wins. And Fred Matiang'i doesn't want to be a project of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta because people have lost hope. I mean, they have lost trust with the Jubilee Party because of Akina Jeremiah Kioni, Wambogo Ngujiri. I mean, all the party leadership has been rumored in one way or the other to be affiliated with the government of William Ruto. So why should Matiang'i take the chance of discrediting himself? That's why he has turned down Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's proposal. And Matiang'i will negotiate for himself. And I dare say, Matiang'i might ditch Jubilee Party to continue with this UPA party before the year 2027. And they will negotiate with the United Opposition Principles. And there, Matiang'i will come out with something that will actually make people trust in the United Opposition. For now, that's what's happening. Tell me what you think about this analysis. Leave your comment on the comment section. See you in our next video. This is the Kenyan Daily Report. Subscribe.